My name is Agoziem and I am a third-year psychology major. I was born in Boston but grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. My entire family are descendants of the Igbo tribe of Nigeria. Since English is Nigeria's official language, I grew up speaking and learning English and wasn't exposed to Igbo language enough. So I took it upon myself last year to start learning my mother tongue. I took classes online and practiced with friends and family, and it seemed like it was going well, but I honestly didn't really feel like I was making much progress. One day, I was listening to an Igbo song while at the gym with my friend, and as the artist sang, I was really surprised when I realized that I actually understood exactly what she was saying. This realization affirmed my efforts to learn my language, and I was so excited that even till the end of the day, I was still singing the song. My friend and I had taken a walk that night and were singing the song together, a bit too loudly for 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. Out of nowhere, we hear a random man from the other side of the street yell, "Ah, ununa suibo," which means, "You guys can speak Igbo?" It was a question and an exclamation at the same time. As someone in the older generation of Igbos, he expressed his excitement and pride that us younger Igbo people were taking an interest in our language. In addition to learning Igbo, I also began looking more into the history of Igbo people and Nigeria as a whole. I became interested in the Nigerian Civil War, aka the Biafran War, and the impact it has had on Nigerian people, specifically Igbos living in Nigeria and in the diaspora. The Nigerian Civil War lasted from 1967 to 1970. The war was caused by the creation of Biafra, a secessionist nation of Igbos and some Nigerian minority groups. Biafra was a response to the ongoing genocide of Igbos in the Hausa-dominated north. Following a devastating defeat that claimed the lives of over 1 million Igbo people, Biafra surrendered and rejoined Nigeria in January 1970, ending the war.
The so-called rising sun of Biafra is set forever. It will be a great disservice for anyone to continue to use the word Biafra to refer to any part of the East Central state of Nigeria. The tragic chapter of violence is just ended. We are at the dawn of national reconciliation. Once again, we have an opportunity to build a new nation.
To date, there has not been appropriate acknowledgement and reparations for the atrocities on the Igbo community due to the war. The war had a psychological impact on many first language users of Igbo. Speaking Igbo became taboo-like because it was a means of identifying Igbo people who were under much scrutiny and experienced discrimination due to the war. Therefore, instead of speaking their language, many Igbo people turned to English, the Nigerian colonialist language. The reduction in the use of the Igbo language has led to decreased Igbo language proficiency among younger generations. Language has been underlined in past research as an important means through which members of a community cement their bonds with one another. Community members can communicate their identity and cultural history through the use of language. This hints at the important role language plays in the formation of one's identity and personal feelings of belongingness and community. This brings me to my research question. What is the relationship between Igbo language proficiency and sense of belonging to Igbo culture? In other words, how does an Igbo person's ability or inability to speak and understand Igbo affect their Igbo identity and feelings of belonging around other Igbo people? I hypothesize that a lower level of Igbo language proficiency will be related to a lower level of sense of belonging, and vice versa for a higher level of Igbo language proficiency. I'm seeking out participants who speak English, are between the ages of 18 and 35 years old, and have one or both parents who are Igbo. I'm reaching out to students in North American universities, higher education institutions in Nigeria, and members of Umu Igbo Unite chapters. I'm using flyers, social media, email campaigns, and snowball sampling to recruit participants. My research study utilizes a survey, focus groups, and one-on-one interviews. The survey is administered through Qualtrics and operationalizes my variables using items from Blumenfeld's Language Experience and Proficiency Questionnaire and an adapted version of the General Belonging Scale. For the purpose of this presentation, I will refer to the measure of Igbo language proficiency as ILP and the measure of sense of belonging to Igbo culture as SOB. The focus groups provide an opportunity for an in-depth discussion on the research topic among participants. The one-on-one interviews use open-ended questions to facilitate a more personalized conversation where participants share their experiences, opinions, and perspectives related to Igbo language proficiency and sense of belonging. The focus groups and interviews are conducted over Zoom and last about 60 to 90 minutes. Because I only recently received IRB approval, I am currently in the process of scheduling the interviews and focus groups, but so far I have gotten a total of 13 valid survey responses. From the 13 responses, I've noticed, as you can see here as well, that most of the participants are younger, 18 and 19-year-olds. Most of the participants are also female, representing 61.5% of the sample. I used SPSS, a software for running quantitative analyses on complex data, to run some statistical analyses on the survey data I've collected so far. I found the reliability of the measure of Igbo language proficiency to be 0.919 and the reliability of the measure of sense of belonging to Igbo culture to be 0.700. The letter R represents correlation. An R greater than 0 indicates a positive relationship between variables, and an R less than 0 indicates a negative relationship. I found a strong positive relationship between ILP and SOB, but the analysis showed that this correlational relationship is not statistically significant. For a correlation to be statistically significant, it has to have a probability p-value lower than 0.05. A p-value less than 0.05 indicates that the correlation is not just due to chance. My preliminary analysis shows that the ILP and SOB have high reliability, which means they are good measures of Igbo language proficiency and sense of belonging, respectively. The analyses also hints at the positive relationship between Igbo language proficiency and sense of belonging to Igbo culture. This positive relationship simply means that a higher level of Igbo language proficiency is related to higher sense of belonging to Igbo culture, and vice versa for a lower level of Igbo language proficiency. This is in line with my hypothesis. Much more data needs to be collected to determine whether this relationship is truly statistically significant or not. Although this is a non-experimental study and I will not be able to assert causality, I designed the study to capture a wide range of experiences to diversify the results and improve authenticity and generalizability. If the data from the survey, focus groups, and interviews point in the same direction, this will also strengthen the reliability of my design and possibly support my hypothesis. My study contributes to knowledge about the influence of Igbo language proficiency on Igbo people's sense of belonging to their culture. It has applied implications such as whether Igbo language learning programs need to be implemented across the diaspora and even in Nigeria. More broadly, it stands to contribute to the literature about language, cultural retention, and identity formation, helping us think through the effects of wars, particularly civil wars, on language retention and cultural sense of belonging. Some follow-up studies I am interested in working on include exploring the relationship between language proficiency and sense of belonging for other Nigerian tribes and other cultural groups across Africa. I want to look into whether this relationship is different or similar across the diverse African communities and discover how this could affect how we view and understand language and the importance of language transmission across generations for the preservation of cultures. I'm extremely dedicated to this work, and I know for a fact that I would not have been able to get to where I am in my journey without everyone listed here. Thank you to the UCLA Undergraduate Research Week for giving me this platform to share my research. Thank you to the Undergraduate Research Fellows Program and the Undergraduate Research Center for giving me the opportunity to actualize my research and get a better understanding of the research process. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my faculty mentor, Dr. Ugo Edu. I found it really hard figuring out the words to properly express my gratitude to her for all her unwavering and immense support and amazing guidance throughout this process so far. I'm so grateful to have her as my mentor. Thank you so much, Ugo. Thank you also to all my friends and family who support me in one way or another. Last but not least, I'd like to thank God for giving me the strength, courage, and wisdom to undertake this task. Thank you.